point fingers. On the way out, he did kiss me.
No,
and
what do you mean by kiss?
It was like a kiss on the lips. I know I was trying to protect Chloe's heart.
Yeah.
She doesn't deserve this either.
What's going on? No, she's about to be here in a minute. I was getting ready for my interviews. Literally same thing as the first time. And my friend Larsa called me to explain that a reporter that she knows was about to write a story that Jordyn and Tristan were at his home late night or until 7 in the morning. They said they were like making out, and I immediately didn't believe it, and I was like, this can't be true.
Hello?
Hey, it's me and Chloe.
Hello? Hey. Hi.
Did you talk to Jordyn?
I talked to Jordyn. It's really weird. She's not giving me all the information. She was trying to kiss me and was like, I can't remember if we did or didn't. I'm like, what? I'm like,
wait.
what?
Let's tell Kylie.
Why the f was I doing that?
Tristan Thompson is apologizing.
There's something almost poetic about the way this story has come full circle. Jordyn Woods, the woman who was once treated like she had become disposable, is now a married woman, standing beside the man she loves, celebrating one of the biggest moments of her life. And Kylie Jenner was there. That detail alone is enough to make this whole situation fascinating. Because remember the history. Kylie and Jordyn weren't casual friends. Jordyn was practically part of Kylie's world. She lived with her, traveled with her, appeared on her show, supported her through major moments, and was deeply embedded in the Kardashian-Jenner circle. Then everything collapsed. The Tristan Thompson scandal detonated the friendship, and Jordyn went from being one of the closest people to Kylie to being pushed outside the circle. Years later, the picture looks very different. Jordyn has built her own life. She has built her own identity. She found love with Karl Towns, and now she's married. On August 15th, 2026, Jordyn and Karl Towns tied the knot in Malibu in a star-studded celebration. Kylie Jenner and Timothée Chalamet were among the guests. And that is where the irony becomes almost impossible to ignore. The girl who was once treated like she needed Kylie's world is now living a life that doesn't require Kylie's approval. That's the part that changes the entire story. Jordyn didn't disappear. She didn't collapse. She didn't become irrelevant. She didn't spend the rest of her life begging to get back into the Kardashian-Jenner circle. She moved forward. And perhaps that's the biggest victory of all. Because there was a time when Jordyn's name was almost impossible to mention without mentioning Kylie Jenner. Jordyn was Kylie's best friend. She was Kylie's former best friend. She was connected to Kylie everywhere she went. But today, Jordyn Woods is a wife. She's built businesses. She's established herself in fashion and entertainment. And she's married an NBA champion. That's a very different position from where people expected her to end up. The most interesting part is that Kylie actually showed up to the wedding. That means the door between them clearly isn't completely closed. In fact, Kylie and Jordyn had already been seen reconnecting publicly before the wedding. In June, the two were photographed embracing at an NBA Finals game after the Knicks defeated the Spurs. So this isn't a simple story about two people who hate each other. It's much more complicated. But if we're looking at this from the perspective of the old friendship, there's a brutal lesson here. You can remove somebody from your life. You can distance yourself from them. You can allow an entire social circle to move on without them. But you can't control what they become afterward. And Jordyn became somebody. That's why the wedding carries so much symbolic weight. Jordyn wasn't standing there as somebody's former best friend. She wasn't standing there as the woman who used to live in Kylie's house. She wasn't standing there as the person who needed an invitation back into the Kardashian-Jenner family. She was the bride. And the entire room was there for her. That's a powerful reversal. Karl Towns didn't just marry a former reality TV personality. He married a woman who had already survived one of the most brutal friendship scandals in celebrity culture. And he didn't meet her through the Kardashian machine. Their relationship developed independently. Jordyn and Towns began dating in 2020 after years of friendship, and they announced their engagement on Christmas Day 2025. Then came the wedding. And suddenly, the woman people thought had lost everything was celebrating everything. That's why the headline, "I Wish It Was Me," hits so hard as a piece of commentary. Because look at the contrast. Kylie is still living inside the constant pressure of celebrity relationships, public scrutiny, family drama, and headlines. Jordyn walked into a wedding with a man who chose her. And that's something money can't manufacture. You can buy the house. You can buy the clothes. You can buy the cars. You can build the beauty empire. But you can't purchase somebody genuinely choosing you. That's what makes Jordyn's wedding so interesting. Karl Towns chose Jordyn. He proposed to her. He married her. And he did it after building a relationship that started as friendship. That's a completely different kind of victory. And honestly, this is where Kylie should probably look at the situation and understand what actually happened. Jordyn didn't lose. She simply lost access to one particular circle. And then she built another life. That's the mistake people make when they believe their social position gives them power over somebody else. You can make somebody feel small today and watch them become bigger tomorrow. You can close one door and discover they didn't need to walk back through it. You can remove somebody from your pictures and discover they eventually become the center of their own picture. That's Jordyn right now. The bride. The wife. The woman everybody is talking about. And Kylie? She was a guest. That's the reversal. For years, Jordyn's identity was attached to Kylie. At this wedding, Kylie was simply one of the famous guests in Jordyn's world. That is a very different dynamic. And it says something about how dramatically the balance has changed. Even the wedding itself was massive. Jordyn wore a custom Danielle Frankel gown, while Towns wore Ralph Lauren. The celebration brought together celebrities from entertainment, sports, and fashion. Kylie wasn't excluded. She was invited. But that doesn't erase the history. It actually makes the moment more interesting. Because imagine going from being inseparable with someone to standing across from them on their wedding day after years of public drama. That's not ordinary friendship. That's history. And Jordyn's biggest statement wasn't something she said. It was the life she built. She didn't need a revenge interview. She didn't need to expose Kylie. She didn't need to release a book attacking the family. She didn't need to stand on a stage and scream that she had won. She simply got married. And sometimes that's the loudest response possible. The woman everyone thought had been pushed out is now surrounded by people celebrating her. The woman who was once defined by a scandal is now being defined by her marriage, her business, and her own identity. That's growth. And it's exactly why this wedding has reopened the old conversation. Because people haven't forgotten what happened. They remember Jordyn's fallout with the Kardashian-Jenner family. They remember the interviews. They remember the public humiliation. They remember Kylie distancing herself. They remember Jordyn having to rebuild her image from scratch. And now they see her walking down the aisle. That's why people are looking at Kylie differently. Because the old power structure doesn't look so powerful anymore. Jordyn doesn't look defeated. She looks happy. And that's the one thing that makes the entire story sting. You can survive being rejected. You can survive losing famous friends. You can survive having your name dragged through the headlines. But what people don't expect is for you to come back happier than before. Jordyn did. And there's another uncomfortable reality here. Kylie herself has apparently moved toward reconciliation. The two were seen embracing at the NBA Finals in June, and Kylie attended Jordyn's wedding in Malibu. So maybe the friendship isn't what it once was. Maybe it never will be. But Jordyn doesn't need it to be. That's the point. She has already moved into another chapter. And that chapter has a husband, a family, a career, and a life outside the Kardashian-Jenner orbit. The most satisfying part of Jordyn's story isn't that she got revenge. It's that she didn't need revenge. She got her life back. She found somebody who wanted to build with her. And she got married surrounded by people celebrating her. That's the kind of ending that makes an old scandal look completely different. Because years ago, the question was, what will Jordyn do without Kylie? Today, the question is almost the opposite. What does Kylie mean to Jordyn now? And that is a brutal reversal. Jordyn Woods walked into that Malibu wedding as her own woman. Not Kylie's best friend. Not the girl from the scandal. Not the person who needed the family's approval. The bride. And that is why this wedding has hit such a nerve. Because the woman they thought they could leave behind didn't stay behind. She kept moving. And now she's married. Kylie can smile for the cameras. She can hug Jordyn. She can celebrate with everyone else. But the history doesn't disappear just because the two women stand next to each other at a wedding. The past is still the past. And the biggest lesson is simple. Never assume somebody is finished just because you've stopped supporting them. Sometimes rejection becomes the fuel. Sometimes losing the circle becomes freedom. And sometimes the person you thought you had pushed into the background ends up standing in the brightest spotlight of all. Jordyn Woods just got married. And whether Kylie likes it or not, this chapter belongs to Jordyn.